A colleague of mine was complaining about Gen Z, saying that they're lazy and entitled. My personal experience with Gen Z is that they are incredibly creative and very savvy. And some friends of ours had us over for dinner, and their son was there with his new girlfriend. The two of them are in their mid-20s, so Gen Z. And they had met at a DMV where they were both independently checking their dating apps. And they noticed each other doing that, and they started comparing notes on what makes a good first date. And he said he thought a funny first date would be to book a marriage counselor, not knowing anything about the other person, and see if they could improv well enough to convince the trained professional that they'd been married for 5 years. And she said, "Look, I don't have any idea whether you find me attractive, but we have got to go do that." So they made an appointment for the following week, and I wish I could remember every detail, but when the marriage counselor asked how they'd met, the story they invented on the fly was that he was part of a SWAT team that had burst down the door of a bachelor party where she was the caterer, and he'd fallen in love with her almond bacon cheese crostini. And when the therapist asked why they were there, what the problem was, they improvised that they'd had a disagreement over the meaning of threesome. And she thought it meant 3 total, and he thought it meant 3 additional. And the rest of their story is a blur, except that apparently they ended the session by making out in front of the therapist. Now, I don't remember being that creative and that fearless in my 20s. So when colleagues complain about 20-somethings making terrible employees, all I can think is, maybe try counseling.